Engines don't echo the same in December. Tulsa keeps the sound lower, closer, like the cold presses it into your jacket. We staged at Expo Square under a sky the color of a steel toolbox, tags hanging off our sissy bars like white flags. Somewhere past the livestock barns, a drumline warmed up, rat-a-tat, like rivets on a bridge. An orange vest walked the row. "Remember what this is," he said, half joke, half command. "It's not a parade." Then he grinned. "It's a parade." I've done toy runs all over. Church lots, courthouse squares, somebody's dealership lot with a pot of chili going thick at the edges. But Tulsa has a way of making the noise feel like it belongs to the street. ABATE runs this one. They know how to keep the herd together. Set the pace, keep the side streets flowing, watch the elbows. You bring a toy. You leave warmer than the weather says you should. The drum line got louder. You could hear brass tuning, those bright, alive mistakes. Then a cheer. I looked over and saw them. Broken arrow. Gold plumes bouncing like candle flames. A volunteer with an elf sweater and a clipboard jogged our line. "Heads up," she said. "Band stepping off. We're right behind them." Someone 3 bikes down muttered, "Do we have to read music?" We rolled. First gear feels like a promise on days like this. Street by street, the sound stitched itself together. Snare drums up front, vtwin throb behind. When the bass drum hit, the whole pack felt it. You don't hear a thump so much as you agree with it. I glanced in the mirror. My paper tag flapped once and settled like it heard the downbeat, too. There's a rider we call Ringer because he always arrives with something on his bike that wasn't there last time. Today it was lights, not tasteful lights. A full tilt, house at the lake in December, every outlet used kind of thing. When he blipped the throttle, his bike glowed like a jukebox having an idea. The kid next to me laughed so hard his Santa hat fell over his eyes. The band took a corner and the tubas swung like chrome moons. We followed with that respectful burble you use around schools and churches. A drum major snapped the mace forward, and a snare cadence rolled out. Our front row answered with a friendly brap, like punctuation. The conductor looked back, surprised, then smiled. Next hit, the band leaned into it, and we answered again. It wasn't planned. It just turned into a conversation. Tulsa winters write honest faces. You see it in shop windows, the mechanic who waves with a wrench and a "don't you dare stall" smile, the diner cook who cheers from the service door with an apron he forgot to untie, the kid who cups his hands like he's trying to catch the vibration. A hand-lettered sign read, "Thank you, riders." Another said, "Merry Moto." Someone sharpied a star on cardboard and taped it to a stroller. You nod a lot on toy runs. That's the rule. Yes, I see you. We idled past a pawn shop with a brass trumpet in the window, a little crooked on its velvet. The band hit a phrase that sounded like a sunbeam through cold air. Ringer tried to match it and came in half a beat early. Brop. Like a dog barking at thunder. Heads turned. He gave an apologetic shrug. Our lane captain tapped his helmet with 2 fingers. "On the beat, maestro!" Ringer grinned and tried again. On the next downstroke, half the guys synced perfectly. The other half committed to being comically late. The sidewalk clapped anyway. If you're going to be cheesy, be cheddar at room temperature, soft enough to share. A little girl in a puffy coat pointed at the tag tied to my mirror. "What's your box?" she yelled, stage whisper loud. I leaned in and read it to her. Girl 8 to 10. Art stuff. She raised a mitten in triumph like we just solved winter. I wanted to tell her I used to measure holidays by refrigerator light and power bills, but you don't say that here. You say it with steady throttle and a box that gets to where it's going. We stopped at a red that felt longer than it was. A traffic cop in a Santa tie strode out, did the sacred ritual of eye contact, and gave us a theatrical hold. The band used the pause to tune on the fly. A trumpet found its note. A tenor drum rolled. The cop checked his watch and mouthed "nice lights" at Ringer, who bowed from the saddle like a game show host. The light flipped green. The baton went up. And then the moment hit. 4 bass drums landed like footsteps on a stage. Boom, 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 boom. Our front row answered with tight, clean throttle pops that sat right in the pocket. The second row stacked on, then the third. For 3 bars, the whole parade turned into a machine with a brass heart, and the street grinned with us. You don't get moments like that on purpose. They happen when a town knows itself. Tulsa knows the sound of work, the rattle of trains and vents and old HVAC that refuses to die. It knows the comfort of a booth at 2 in the afternoon, when the lunch rush is gone and somebody finally laughs. It knows the hush when 100 bikes cut their engines at once outside a door marked "Toy Drop," and a dozen volunteers suddenly hear how hard they've been breathing. We turned into the lot. The band slid into a last phrase that felt like a bow. Stands of lights hung off the awning. Someone had sharpened the words "ABATE Toy Run" on plywood in letters the size of a forearm and painted them the red of a winter apple. Our line-dabbled boots shuffled forward. Tags swung like little metronomes of kindness. A volunteer in elf green fought a pen that forgot its job in the cold. When it finally scratched, she raised it like a sword. Inside the hall, it smelled like coffee trying to beat chili. Linoleum had opinions. The table mountain grew. Dinosaurs and dolls, paints and paper, bikes and board games. Tags turned boxes into sentences. Boys 3 to 5, trucks. Anyone, warm hat. I unhooked the bungee and felt the simple weight of cardboard that means something somewhere else. You don't know who gets it. That's the point. Kindness shouldn't need a receipt. A kid with hair like straw hovered near the doorway, trying to be part of the furniture. He studied our bikes like he was memorizing them for later. "Do you ride this?" he asked, which is the way kids ask if you're real. "I do," I said. "What's it feel like?" "Like being the loudest quiet thing in town," I said, and it felt true again, like the first time I found the clutch's patience. Pictures happened, the ones nobody frames, but everybody smiles in. Ringer's lights finally surrendered and blinked in a slow fade, like a small town at midnight. Someone dropped a 5 in the jar and pretended not to. A woman held a box labeled "anything" with stars on it and stared at it a moment longer than you do when you're just moving inventory. I thought about last year, about a stranger's mitten brushing my sleeve, and a memory I keep in the same drawer as old registration slips. We filed back to the bikes. You hear things exiting a toy run you don't hear anywhere else. The sound of zippers, the patience of kickstands, the little cough a starter makes before it catches. The band lined the sidewalk and played us out. A walking groove, easy on the snares. The conductor lifted his chin at our lane captain. The captain lifted 2 fingers. And for a block and a half, Tulsa turned into a music video where nobody argued about who got to be the chorus. Here's the part I didn't tell you at the start, because stories like to keep their jackets on until the room's warm. This whole ride was a friendly challenge. Band versus bikes. Crowd vote at the end. Not a real contest, just a way to put a bow on noise. We pretended we didn't care. We cared. Folks lined both sides of the lot, hands in pockets, faces out of the wind. The elf sweater held a clipboard. "All right," she said. "Make some noise for the band." The cheer came strong and honest. "Make some noise for the bikes." It came stronger. Ringer did a tasteful blip that sent his last string of lights into a glorious, noble death. The conductor smiled like a person who'd expected that and liked it anyway. He pointed the mace at us and bowed. Our captain tapped his heart with 2 fingers and bowed back. That's how you keep a town in one piece. You admit the other guy's cool. We broke formation slow. Kids got photos. Somebody's Santa beard went sideways and everyone laughed with the relief of people who just did a thing together. A woman whose hands looked too cold for bare fingers kept stacking boxes like it wasn't cold at all. The hall workers moved like they'd trained for this, because they had. Tradition is repetition that agreed to be kind. I rolled out last, the tag by my mirror flapping like a metronome winding down. A trumpet phrase floated after us, the kind that makes you think about memory more than melody. I wanted to ride past every window and tell them the same sentence. You did good. You can't say that to a city. You can only make a noise it likes and leave the place warmer than you found it. Tulsa does tough with a grin. It's bad to the bone the way a tree is bad to the bone. Rooted, living, shade when you need it. ABATE keeps the scaffolding up so the rest of us can hang lights without falling. The band gave us a beat. We answered with the throttle. Somewhere in the stack, a box will open, and a kid will find a thing with stars on it, and for 30 minutes, the air will taste like hope. Later that night, I parked where the quiet grows on purpose and checked the mirror. The tag had creased in the breeze. I left it there. Not a trophy, an address. A way to remember how a winter afternoon felt when a city played along.